Hey everyone! I know it's been a couple weeks, but it will absolutely have been worth the wait. Um, we've got an action-packed video for you today, so let's dive right in. So first up, I want to show that we now have the ability to export grids as a CSV. So let's go to Incident, and just as always, we see the incident grid. This is all incidents. There's a new export button. You click that and it'll download a CSV. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Um, this also works on, well, all grids, which means it works on saved searches. So let's go to all closed incidents. And we can see here's all closed incidents. There's that export CSV button. It'll export all of the records in the grid, exactly as you see it in the grid. So if a particular field it doesn't show up in the grid, it's not going to appear in the CSV. Now, next up, we added a new feature to this saved searches view. Before, it would just show the search and show the grid, but now you can actually drill into the individual results and the BizHub form will load. And I also changed some styling. So now that I have it zoomed in, you can actually see the entire thing. It doesn't look kind of smashed on the screen when I have it zoomed in. So it's a little bit easier for demos. Um, and it just looks a whole lot nicer. This sidebar doesn't get compressed like it was before. Um, Now on the BizHub form, we also have some improvements. Uh, we now support the visibility expressions. So you notice that uh, some of these tabs, there are actually a lot fewer of them. I feel like I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but I looked at my recent notes and it looked like a fairly recent change. So if you've seen this already, I apologize. I'm excited about it because it's pretty cool. Uh, Again, not every form shows all of, or not every record shows all of the tabs on a particular form. Not every record shows all of the same fields on every form. So we support that. You'll notice that I think in previous demos there were two things in this empty space here. Well, now that we support visibility expressions, those don't show up because they're not relevant to this form. There were some other minor tweaks like this specifics form is longer than the space that's allotted for it. So now this actually scrolls like it's supposed to. And there might be a few other improvements, here and there, kind of hiding in the weeds, small things that aren't worth spending time on the demo. Now, with all of this, and with the tool kind of coming into its own and getting to a point where it really is ready for prime time, uh, it got a little bit awkward calling it the Cherwell archive tool all the time. So it was time to come up with a new name. I batted around a few different ideas. Did I want to go with, something river oriented like Cherwell? Do I want to go with something Tolkien oriented? Also Cherwell. Um, there were lots of Tolkien and C.S. Lewis themed uh, things around Cherwell. Um, if you don't know the background behind the name Cherwell, that's a story for another video. But ultimately, I decided to go with the kind of the nervous system, brain themed names that I've been going with for a long time. So the company's called Synapse Software. That's actually transitioning. Now it'll be called Thought Colony. Um, but I decided to lean into that, and this tool is now called Cortex. So you'll start seeing the name Cortex show up in a lot of places. Um, First and foremost, the latest release. So now there is a 1.1 release, and we can actually go over to the releases. Well, first off, the documentation is all up to date with stuff about the latest release. So the new name says Cortex, and in some places I might still refer to it as the Cherwell Archives tool, just for that continuity for a little bit. But moving forward, I'll be using the name Cortex. And we can download version 1.1, which if we go over to the download site, which again is releases.thoughtcolony.com, again, links to all this stuff will be down in the description below, as well as you can just go to docs.thoughtcolony.com, and any link to anything you might want is available from the documentation site. So now, of course, there's still the archives. Ironically, the archives of the archives, which just has version 1 in it. And now Cortex has version 1.1. And here are the latest versions. So if you were trying out the previous version, the 1.0 version, go ahead and download 1.1 and see how it's different. Make sure it still works on your data. And as always, if you want to see it work on your data, if you have questions about it, or would like to buy a license, reach out to me. My contact information is down in the video description. You can always comment on the video. And in the next week or so, there will be even more exciting new features that we're adding. My goal is to get this as fully functional as a read-only view on top of Cherwell data as I possibly can. Realistically, the only decision on what to do next is, well, what to do next. You can help influence that decision. If there's some aspect of Cherwell that you really, really use a whole lot, or will be using, can see yourself using for audit and archival purposes, let me know. If there's something that maybe needs to work a little bit differently, like for instance, something that comes to mind is saved searches. Saved searches are great. Saved searches make sense when the data is changing as you go through your day-to-day operations. But when the data is no longer changing, you might want the search to change so that you could search for a specific customer, a specific time frame, something like that. If that's something that's of interest to you and you have specific criteria, obviously I don't want to necessarily build a whole query engine on top of what already exists. But if there's something specific that you're looking for, let's talk. And I'll put it on the roadmap and prioritize that. I don't want to make this video too long. Looking at the time, it's not terribly long yet, but I don't want it to get there. I will periodically do some videos on kind of the upcoming roadmap as we get further down the road with the archive tool, some of the other aspects that I plan on building on top of it, some of the other tiers that will become available once I get the read only aspect of it pretty much figured out and out of the way. So I'm really excited to get this running on real customer data. I'm sure you're excited to get this running on your data. So let's make that happen. Again, contact information down below. And I look forward to hearing from you. See you next week.